Dear friends, freedom fighters, fellow libertarians, it's a pleasure to have you back. It's been an exciting year for, I think, many of the think tankers, not only in Europe, but also across the world. Many things have changed, some to the better, some to the worse. This is why we must not give in and stop our fight and our constant struggle for more freedom and liberties, whether it's on the entrepreneurial side, on the corporate side, but also on the individual side. And I would like to first of all, thank our hosts, Eleanor Hammond, the Cerge-EI Foundation, also Susan Walton, who is representing the foundation here, for organizing and for hosting us here in Prague. We have never ever had a European Resource Bank meeting in Prague. It was about time. This is the 15th anniversary, and the founder and one of the co-founders and our first host of the European Resource Bank meeting, Krasen Stanchev, is here. Krasen, thank you for joining us. Some of you might recall the famous, infamous event in close by to Sofia when we, in the mountains of Borovets, when some of us got sick, and so, only because we worked too hard. Of course, not because they drank too much. Ever since, a lot has happened in our movement, and maybe Krasen will have some time during our meeting to give a short summary and to provide those who are new to the European Resource Bank and to the movement what has happened, what the European think tanks have accomplished and have achieved in the past, and we will discuss our next steps and goals. And I'm looking very much forward to that, especially looking at the practical side. It's good to have academics working on one side and providing us with ideas and solid fundaments and expertise, but it's also good to translate this into real-world experience and to translate this into the language of politicians who eventually are the ones that we have to, I'd say, or who challenge us and we challenge them. I think it's a both and side. Some organizational stuff, as you have all seen. There is Wi-Fi in this wonderful, beautiful room, and the login is over there. It's Cerge and welcome, but everybody has it in their folders. If anything is needed, Eleanor, with her wonderful team, will be there 24/7, and she will be very happy. I'm sure she will be very happy when the last ERB participant has left Prague. For us, it's a continuation. As you all know, our roadshow is continuing, but there are two more things that I would like to highlight. There is a copy that Chris Butler will present later of 5 years of failure, Global Coalition Letter Against Plain Packaging. This is one thing, one success story that the European Resource Bank and all our European free market think tanks could pull together one side. But there is also another two letters, two new challenges that we need to face or that we have to face. One is on digital taxation. You know, it's not that they cut one tax and and create a new one. It's just a tax added on to something. So it's time that we stand up and oppose this. And the second is our topic on intellectual property rights and the protection thereof as a basis and a fundamental, I would say it's a human right to be an individual who owns property, whether it's movable or whether it's intangible goods. And it's also a long tradition of the European Resource Bank meeting and the Free Market Roadshow to collect signatures, and we will all invite you to do that together, because together we are strong against other people in Brussels who do not like freedom and individual responsibility. Without further ado, I simply would hand over the microphone to Susan for her welcome remarks as our host. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Barbara. I'm really grateful and happy and excited to be here. My name is Susan Walton. I'm a trustee of Cerge-EI, and you're here in our beautiful building, Schaebeck Palace. I hope you enjoy it. I've been a trustee of Cerge-EI for 8 years. You can tell from my funny accent that I'm an American, but I've lived in Britain for 33 years, and I'm actually by heritage half Slovak too, which goes a way to explain my interest here. The Cerge-EI US Foundation, of which I'm a trustee of, is a supporter of economics education in Central and Eastern Europe and the countries of the former Soviet Union. Together with Charles University and the Czech Academy of Sciences, we support this institute. Cerge-EI was founded in Prague just after the fall of the Berlin Wall, with a mission to train future policymakers, central bankers, and academics in modern economic theory. We offer a double PhD, one from Charles University and one from the New York Board of Regents, and the courses are taught in English. The students also do 6 months and sometimes up to a year abroad to top American universities such as Stanford, Princeton, and Michigan, with fantastic economic programs, as we have many of these professors who are on our economic and supervisory board, and several of them are Nobel laureates. So the program is very, very high profile. At the time when Cerge started, most of the students were coming from the Visegrad. Now the students, 30 years later, are coming from more than 28 countries around the world. But the focus is still on the emerging and nascent markets, and the frontier markets, of which we have our very special expertise in identifying many of the diamonds in the rough. Over 500 Cerge-EI alumni are now living and working in more than 30 countries in the world, and they have some of the top and dynamic jobs on offer. Some of them are in the private sector, but the majority of them are either in academia, or they're in central banks, or in public service with large supranationals. What I'd like to focus on a little bit here is the Teaching Fellows Program, and this is the program that I'm most excited about and I'm very, very deeply involved in. My nickname for it, and it's caught on a little bit, is called the Free Market Missionaries, which I think everyone here will probably have some resonance with. Our Teaching Fellows program is actually privately funded, and it provides financial and professional support to newly qualified PhDs from Western universities. And what that looks like is, I'll give an example, and this is a live example, a PhD graduate from Uzbekistan who went to Duke and was studying at Duke and got his PhD from Duke in economics, and he applies to us to actually go back to Uzbekistan. And we want these guys to go home and to spread the message and to spread the education in Uzbekistan, where the economic literacy level is actually not very great, and where they might not actually be very much of a free market either. So he may get his job at a university in Uzbekistan. He has to be in full-time academician, and we provide a grant on top of that, because someone who's gone to Duke or Stanford or Harvard or Michigan or Princeton or whatever can stay in America and get a fantastic job and make an awful lot of money. But the impact is actually to go back home, and that's what we'd like. He can also go back home and work for a big accountancy firm. He can work for McKinsey. But we want for them to stay in academia and train other people in modern economic theory. So we give them a grant on top of that for 3 years. And we found the success of that is actually pretty incredible, because once you get somebody back home for 3 years, especially at that age, they reintegrate, their family is there, they may get married, and they actually stay. So this program has been successful. It's been going on for 11 years, and the scale of it, I'll give you an idea, and I'm sorry to read from this, to give you a few numbers. This year, we're supporting 200 of those teaching fellows in 22 countries. The downstream impact of that, of the teachers teaching others in academia, whether it might be teaching other teachers as well, is 20,000 students and other teachers per year. And in the 11 years, and now we're actually up to scale going on for 11 years, the downstream impact for that has been 100,000 individuals. It's teachers and students, which we think is just incredible. We have a strong presence in Albania, Armenia, Georgia, Russia, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan, but we do go further than that, but those are areas of our core competency. And as I say, it's really the free market missionaries, and the program's very exciting. If you'd like some more information about that program, you can just come to me, you can come to Eleanor, you can come to Mike Chaton, who's the program director. Who's Mike? Raise your hand. Who's back here? Because it's terrific. It's really the only one that we know about that has this mission and certainly has this impact, and it's something that we are absolutely incredibly proud of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. And of course, there's always something that one should stress and focus on. And this is our partners and sponsors, because without their help and without their support, whether they are officially known, via logos, or whether it's on the back end, without their support, we could not be able to run this European Resource Bank meeting and organize this gathering with you. So I think a warm round of applause goes to those people visible on the sheets and on the fact sheets everywhere, but also those who stay behind the scenes and support, for example, Dragon's Den and other things. Thank you very much. And as a representative, I would simply ask Shari Williams from the Krübel Foundation, who has been a long-time supporter, to stand up and deliver the thanks. Thank you, Shari. And one more thing, which is also very important to us, and where we have created success in the past as group, is inviting diplomats, inviting young politicians. And I would really thank those diplomats, those excellencies who take their time, who either send their stuff or who attend personally for their interest, because I know they will deliver what we discuss back home to their countries and hopefully open additional discussions with their fellow diplomats and politicians. And of course, they are always very generous with us, like yesterday evening when hosting events or cocktails, but they will join us, and I all encourage you to make use of their presence. Introduce yourselves, and many of them are here from your home countries. So thank you, and for joining, and also for please consider that. Thank you. Chris, I think it's time for you to start the first session.